So before we set the agenda for the day, at the outset, I want to tell you certain dilemmas I had in preparing for this lecture. This is probably the toughest of the 140, 150 lectures I do for Sociology Optional. And the reason is, I don't know the agenda of this lecture. Okay, I don't know whether to call it orientation. If I want to call it orientation, then I have to orient you towards the optional. And I teach, so I want many students in the class. Because that is a direct function of how I want to tell you the story of sociology. But at the same time, if I have faces not very excited, say after 30th day, first day I understand, second day I understand. After a month or two, if you are not excited to come back to the class, it is better for you and me, both, that you should not come to that class, correct? So I said to myself, let me not give you an orientation, so to speak. I don't want to orient you towards the subject, but I want to give you a feel of the subject to help you decide. Not really decide. I don't think you can really decide at this point of time after one lecture. You should not decide in one lecture, but at least give you a feel so that you will know whether or not this subject is suitable to you or not. That is what the agenda is, really. So I am reminded of one situation I think all of us would have encountered as kids, school-going kids, that you were asked to probably choose a sport, and sport or something else, whatever it is. If you ask me a question, will I be able to score in sociology? Yeah, that is one of the first questions that is asked, and that's why it's very difficult for me to really talk about or give this lecture. I can talk about marks, I can talk about many things through 140, 150 lectures on an average. But this makes this lecture the toughest one, because I cannot answer to that question. If a 12-year-old came to you and asked you, will I be able to score 100? First of all, you will ask the question back, are you first of all interested in cricket or badminton or something else or whatever, or no sport or no sport? And then within sport, you will ask the next question, tell me what are you interested in? Okay. The kid may not be really exposed to any of these sports, so you will take him or her to a couple of sports and spend some time, maybe a week or so, and to understand where really the interest lies. Choosing an optional is as good as that. I mean, I think that is the closest analogy I can really take when it comes to choosing an optional. But the difference is, of course, the kid is going to spend the rest of the life, or at least half of the life, on the sport, but you will only spend about a couple of years. So that also is something that I'm cognizant of, and therefore try to make a balance of telling you a little bit about the story of this subject. I like it. Can you score very high? There are people who have scored. It is as good as saying, can someone score 100? Yes, many people have scored hundreds. Can I score 100? Is a different question altogether, right? So very difficult to answer that question. With this as the backdrop, let me see what I have in store for you to think about sociology. I call it a feeler, really, because at the end of this lecture, you are going to spend some time here, 1.5 to 2 hours, whatever it is. I like the sound of my own voice, so it will be longer. But I should be also be of some use to you. Those 1.5 hours or 2 hours that we are going to spend should not be any 2 hours that you spend in different facets of your day. How do I make it useful to you? That's the question I wanted to really answer. And I'll make an attempt, therefore, to give you a feel of the subject, to demonstrate certain ideas that we'll be exposed to, and how those ideas will help you not only if whether or not you take those the optional, but the ideas you can carry home, and definitely it is going to help you in other parts of your general studies syllabus also. So I'll therefore really give you a lecture instead of telling you why sociology is very good. Sociology is very good, but for me, whether it is good for you is really a decision you have to take. But yes, of course, it has to be with some discussions and deliberations with some people. It should not be based on the fact whether it is scoring or not. 100 is scoreable, but it is not scoreable by everybody. And therefore, the same principle applies to you. Is it clear? If you are suitable, or if the subject is suitable to you or not, is a story that you should really decipher for yourself. While I'm going to talk about sociology, I'm going to set the agenda, things that we are going to talk about also. But at the outset, I have to make it very clear to you that if you have found your spot, don't be under confusion, just go ahead with it. If you have not found a spot or a sport in this analogy, if you have already found an optional, do take it. Okay, if you feel that you are already inclined towards something, you should take it. Okay, so don't listen to sociology and again multiply your confusions that you have. For example, if you are already interested in drama, reading drama, okay, beautiful books are there. Okay, most of us are Kannadigas, everyone. Jo Kumaraswamy. Have you heard Jo Kumaraswamy? It's a drama written by one dramatist called Kambara. If you are interested in reading drama consists of characters and conversation between characters, just like how it is staged in a play. Or for that matter, if you're interested in poetry, kavya, stories, prose, you should go ahead and take a literature option. Okay, because if you're interested in already these kind of, because you already have a feel, what is a drama, what is a poetry, you already have a feel of it, you like it, it excites you. Okay, if it has always excited you, you should go ahead and take it, have no confusions. Okay, because that is also scoreable, this is also scoreable, physics is also scoreable. I have a student who has been scoring good to 70 to 80 in physics for all 3 attempts that he has written. Okay, every time. Physics is also scoreable. Whether it is scoreable for you is a different question. Is it clear? Okay, so that being said, so another thing I want to tell you is optional is a subject, a part of your syllabus that you should be very, very serious at every stage of your preparation, including the choice of optional. This stage at which you're trying to make a choice It should be a very serious and well thought out decision. And therefore, don't take this decision in a hurry. One lecture will not help you decide. I'm also going to tell you that. But yes, it will add to probably that process through which you are making this decision. So don't take your decision in a haste, not just because it is 500 out of 1750. As a sociology teacher, as a social sciences, I don't want to call myself thinker, really. I'm an engineer turned sociology teacher. So I have to tell you, you have to give importance on the qualitative aspect of the syllabus, not just the quantitative part. 500 out of 1750, optional. So you should take. Absolutely not. That's only quantitative way of looking at it. Optional shapes your GS preparation also. Optional is a lens through which you will look at the world, because you are going to spend a lot of time on optional. It shapes your, you understand, lens through which you look at all realities, and therefore different aspects of your general studies syllabus, many aspects of your general studies syllabus, you look at it from the point of view of optional. It will dictate whether you like it or not, whether you identify it or not, whether you realize it or not. It is going to shape. To give you an example, you will study about federalism in Constitution. Yes or no? I think most of us have already been in the preparation for some time. Can I assume that everyone? 2-3 months? So much so to at least know what is a federal structure, and we are federal in nature. Constitution at least is federal in nature. A sociology student will always look at this as a reality that is normal. Federal had to be the case, because if I look at Indian society, India is often called as region of regions. That's why you study regionalism in paper 1 of your society syllabus. Because India is region of regions, there are various regions, and naturally you have to respect all identities. Two people come together, the only way two people, two groups, two religion, two families, two countries, two cultures, two religion come together, difference is bound to be there, and difference is not necessarily bad. Difference may or may not lead to conflict. Some conflict, yes or no? You're from some place, your friend is from another place, your socio-economic, political, all background, religious background is different. Your friend's religious background, economic background, social background is different. And therefore, and not just that, actually, not just that, even your biological makeup is different. You were unique. When the sex cells that actually was formed before even fertilization, if you have studied your science and technology, you will know meiosis, okay, is the place where difference started to arise. So you are not unique. I don't have to give you motivational talks to tell you are unique. You became unique at that point of time. Before even you were fertilized in the egg. Are you able to follow what I'm saying? So therefore, your biological makeup is different, your social background is different, your economic background is different, your political background is different. How do you expect? There is no difference. And difference may or may not lead to conflict. How you resolve that conflict is the question. And it is said, respect for difference is the only way to resolve any conflict. Conflict between two people, 2 points of view, between two religions, belief systems, difference between two linguistic groups, again values, belief systems, difference between two countries, Again, values, belief systems, interests are different. As a result, that conflict is resolved only by respecting to the difference. If this is so, and if India is region of regions, tell me, the only way these different regions will stay together is by respecting the regional differences, whether it is linguistic difference, whether it is cultural difference, whether it is difference in food, whether it is difference in how you marry, how you eat, what you wear, and so on and so forth. Are you able to follow what I'm saying? Therefore, from that point of view, I will say that federalism, which gives some powers, some autonomy to the states, also many states have got special powers. Yes or no? You also have heard of Schedule 6 areas, Schedule 5 areas. The level of autonomy is different, nothing else. Level of autonomy means what? You're respecting the culture. That's why in state list, you will have those subjects which will talk about the regional life, the cultural life of people. Central list is different. Most of the economic and political factors will be there in central list, and state list will have cultural life of people. Why? Because we are the state, difference in that region has to be respected. That is why Karnataka will protect, preserve, promote its culture, its language, and full provision in the constitution is made. So when I study the same constitution, you must have studied federalism, everybody. But the lens of, if there was no regionalism, why federalism? Federalism is not just coming from Canada, Australia. You have seen sources of constitution, yes or no? And you have studied Canada se aaya, Australia se aaya, kaun sa model. Why that model? First of all, is it clear or not? That is only provisions in the constitution. We were inspired by the provision, the way we need to legislate regional reality of India. Therefore, your optional is going to shape the way you think, for sure. As a political science student, probably you will be exposed to different models of keeping these cultures together. So therefore, it can be unitary system, it can be federal system, and so on and so forth, and how that federal system is designed. And the challenges one will come across in designing those systems. That is the subject matter of political science. So therefore, as a political science student, maybe although there is a huge overlap, because the very beginnings of all these social sciences was in historically at the same point of time, around 17th century Europe, is where all these social sciences were developed, and therefore there will be similarities between these disciplines, and notwithstanding the fact, the lens that you develop in order to look at the world will significantly vary. Maybe regional factor may not be emphasized more in political science, more in sociology. At least emphasis will be more or less depending on the subject that you take. Therefore, it is not just, that's why it's a very serious decision. It's a serious exam, to be very honest to you. Okay, it is not an exam like your academic exam, although academic is also very serious, but the level of seriousness we attach to it, not just it's on your part, it is on our part. People who teach you, people who design these institutions, the way institutions are run, okay, a level of seriousness is not attached by your elders, and therefore it does not trickle down to the next generations. But this exam, okay, somebody was telling us very recently, you must have heard, UPSC paper leak. ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಬಂತಾ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ? No, UPSC paper leak ಆಗೋಗಿದೆ. Some institute, okay, so certain institute took all the questions, 80, 85 topic they recognized, and they put, okay, articles based on it, backdated it. Okay, on the website, you can do anything and everything, just backdated it to May, October, November, to give you an impression that everything came from what we taught. Okay, so if you would have followed, you would have got 80 plus questions. It's not, you understand? And the seriousness of this, okay, although it was fake news and PIB fact check also was there in order to debunk this fake news. But that incident showed us how serious it's not a joke. You understand? So therefore, there's a certain level of responsibility with what we do. Again, a certain level of responsibility will be trickling down to you, depending on the level of seriousness we attach to the preparation. Okay, so that is extremely important. Okay, you don't want your city administrator to be, okay, ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಅಂತಾರಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಈ ನಡುವೆ ಬಚ್ಚೆ ಆಯೆ ಕಿ ನಹೀ ಆಯೆ. Okay, so my background, I have mostly taught in Delhi. Okay, so बच्चे नहीं चाहिए. We don't want kids. Do you want a kid to be, tell me, okay, the administrator of your city, managing, say, solid waste management? Do you want kids to do it? So therefore, you have to be that person. You understand? The nature of person you want to manage your city is the person you should become, and that is the expectation. Okay, whether you like it or not. It's a good journey in order to shape. That's why the preparation itself shapes your personality. Okay, of course, we all have some raw material, and you're not going to be finished goods even after you clear, but that's how, okay, you have to look at the journey of your preparation. And within that, of course, your optional subject, because it is not only quantitative. 500 out of 1750 is only one aspect. Another aspect is really, it shapes you qualitatively also, and shapes your GS preparation, to be very honest. Okay, it had a huge impact at times when there were 2 optionals. At one point of time when we were giving the exam, there were 2 optionals, and GS was only about 600 marks. Optional was much more than that. 600 and 600, 1200 was optional. And therefore, everybody focused only on optional, because optional covered many of the things in GS also. Okay. Qualitatively, it has not changed. I can tell you this much. Of course, quantitatively, it has changed. Less about optional, because you must have heard about the importance of choosing an optional. I don't want to go deeper into all this, how many marks and all of that. Okay, if people who are not aware, you can talk to me after the lecture about the basics. So I classify this lecture. Really speaking, the second part is what I'm going to focus on in the lecture. I call 2 parts of this lecture as semantics and substance. Semantics is just the things that you have already known. Okay, you should have interest in the subject, otherwise you should not take it. All this is normal. I don't want to get into that aspect. You have heard about it from many people, YouTube video everywhere, or every optional probably orientation. You've heard that general interest in the subject is of utmost importance, because you're going to spend a lot of time. Okay, so you're going to start your journey with your optional, and it will never end till your probably the day of the result. It will never end. Okay, the day you are in or out, okay, whatever it is, in or out of the process, you have to be in constant touch with your optional. So therefore, without an interest in the subject, makes no sense. Is it clear or not? Okay, so that is the only factor. Okay, I call it the goal principle. General interest, access to some guidance. Some guidance is necessary, because what you do in an optional is, okay, really speaking, to the level of postgraduate, and you are going to do it in 5 to 6 months. At least the syllabus coverage will be done in 5 to 6 months, depending on which optional you're taking. And then, of course, you have to spend time on your skills of writing answers. So therefore, some access to guidance is necessary, because somebody else who has already worked in the optional should consolidate, should show you what is the relevant part, not relevant part should just be shrugged off without even showing it to you. You cannot go through books. Okay, so 5 years of what people do, graduation and post-graduation, is what you're going to do in 5 months. Okay, so that is why you need access to guidance, otherwise you don't need it really. Overlap with GS syllabus is what I say. O stands for overlap with GS syllabus. That's very small thing. Every optional, that should not be a factor that should decide your optional. Without an interest, overlap with GS syllabus, what will you do? Okay, there'll be many parts of GS syllabus you won't like. Okay, I have hard time in teaching both my subjects in GS. I teach science and technology and society, and I find huge number of aspirants, at least not now probably, after this paper, okay, or the recent trends, science and technology, okay, so nobody spends as much time on science and technology as polity, right? Everybody keeps reading Spectrum throughout the year. In libraries you can see, but nobody, I don't think you've seen a lot of people having science and technology notes, okay? Maybe because there is no notes, okay, at least so far in Bangalore. But probably that is a reason. Okay, so I have a hard time doing that. So there you have to study anyway. I mean, you don't have a choice, but with optional you have a choice. So please consider it with all seriousness. Only take your optional. Is it clear? Okay, L is of course limited time, and if it is overlapping with your GS syllabus, saves a lot of time also. Yeah, 5 to 6 months is what any optional with a decent syllabus coverage will take 5 months, another couple of months for consolidation, and then you will keep writing till the day you will get your result. You will keep writing. Okay, maybe not every day, but you will plan those schedules. Okay, some months you will write, some months you will not write. Of course, those things will be there, but that has to be, okay, that roadmap also has to be laid out very, very clear. Okay, but nevertheless, you're going to keep revisiting your optional time and again till the day you get your results, or till the day you're out of this preparation, whether qualifying and not qualifying, but out of this preparation. So be very careful in the choice of your option. Okay, which brings me to the only principle really, the G, general interest in the subject. You have to test your interest in the subject, and that cannot be based on hearsays. Okay, it cannot be based on hearsays. A Bhupati or a Leander Pace, I don't know if you know these names, okay, or a Sanya Nehwal and say Virat Kohli came together and asked whether I can score a century or I can win this battle, okay, or whatever tournament, okay, Rafael Nadal or Virat Kohli. So they could do things in their own domains. So Virat Kohli would not have won 12 French Opens, and Rafael Nadal would not have been, okay, a generational talent in cricket. Are you able to follow? Okay, and nothing wrong with both them. Both of them are equally good. Yes or no? So without general interest, please don't take the subject. Whether it is sociology, not sociology, doesn't matter. Okay. So therefore, okay, so I'm not going to really talk about, okay, all of this, but I'll come to sociology now. Now, I am going to introduce, I'll tell you how to test your interest, but as I told you that the 1.5 hours we are going to spend, okay, I am going to make it interactive. You can talk to me, but after a certain point of time, I want to make certain points clear, okay, so that's common. Probably your questions will be answered within that, but you can definitely, I'll be available after the lecture. You can definitely talk to me about your individual concerns that you already have. I'm not going to show you the syllabus. Syllabus is all there everywhere, okay, but I want to give you a feel of the subject, okay. But while doing that, I just want to bust some myths that you may have with respect to optional, especially given the kind of fundas that are available everywhere, okay. So I want to bust some myths, not the common myths, but few myths that are very, very important, whether or not you take this optional, whether or not you are with me for sociology. These things have to be very clear with you, I think this applies to everybody in sociology, but very important. What are the myths? Okay, you all must have some idea that at least people who are interested in sociology. I don't know how many of you are interested in sociology already. Okay, many of you may have the inclination for sociology, whatever is the reason. Sociology is certainly not about writing a lot of names of the thinkers, remembering the names of the thinkers and their theories. It is definitely not remembering. Which brings me to the second point, second myth I want to bust, which is if you have a 200 word for every word in the syllabus, you will be good to go. It might be true, but those 200 words must be constructed by you. If I give you 200 words about every topic in the syllabus and sociology is over, idu sarasar jhoot. Are you able to understand what I'm saying? If you are able to write 200 words out of all the things that you have heard about the topic, yes, because that is true. Why? Because then you have assimilated the ideas and you are able to express. Your ability to express is very important, of course, that is answer writing, we'll do all of that. But therefore, it's not just topic here. Some topic is there. I'm going to take, okay, somebody has given you some 2 pages of notes for it and you read it and you'll be done with it. Absolutely not. That is what my first 2 myths that I want to bust. And to do so, I'll just also give you, I call this a feeler. So I also want you to understand a little bit about the nature of the syllabus. Okay, what are the kind of questions that you're going to ask in sociology? What are the kind of ideas that you're going to be exposed to in sociology for 6 months, 8 months, or even for a couple of years? What are the kind of questions you'll be grappling with? To get you a feel, to give you a feel of it, I'm going to talk about the syllabus, but to give you a feel of it, I'll take one topic that is mentioned in your syllabus. In all, paper 1, paper 2 has got around 164 topics, subtopics, everything put together, 164 topics, not without being linked to each other. They're all linked. One part of the syllabus, which is very, very popular, and you have, okay, I'll tell you how to also filter out. When you look at many sources, I'll tell you how to filter it out. But one topic that is commonly mentioned, and if you are already interested in sociology, you must know that people must have told you, heart and soul of sociology is sociological thinkers. Okay, sociological thinkers have only contributed to the story of sociology. The heart and soul of sociology is really the story of sociology itself and the story of society. Nothing else. What is sociology syllabus? Paper 1, paper 2. The discipline itself has a story. So you will see through the syllabus the story of the discipline itself. And using that story and some of the tools that you will be exposed to in that story, you will study the story of the societies, Indian society or any society. That's all. And in that story of sociology, the story of the discipline itself, not the society, there are certain contributions. The discipline itself is not very old, okay, only 300, 400 years old. And this discipline, to come to the shape it has taken so far, there are many people who have contributed to it. Are you able to follow what I'm saying? So sociology has gone through its phases. 19th century, this is where sociology was born. So I would call this phase the birth of the discipline. Through 20th century, of course, if it was not in 21st century, you would not have it as your optional. There is relevance of the syllabus or the discipline, and therefore it exists today. It was born in 19th century. It grew in 20th century. So I call it the growth phase. As with the life cycle of any organism, we can also see the life cycle of a discipline. And it is evolving today. Or rather, I can call the entire thing evolution. It is maturing today. I can call this probably, okay, this is how I can probably say that the discipline took birth. So therefore, at birth, what will happen? As a child, when you were born, you were not born the day you came out of your mother, but on the day, the first cell out of which you are today, some trillion cells, 3 trillion cells that you are made of, all of that came from that one cell after the fertilization. Therefore, you were taking shape. You became a fetus. You became, all your organ system was developed. And as you were growing, and then you mature. Similarly, the discipline also takes shape at birth, whatever shape it is. And those people who contributed for the discipline to have taken this shape in its origins are called as classical sociologists. Classical sociologists because whatever they did is relevant to make sense of the society even today and the future. That's why we call it classical. Classical also because they were the ones who gave a direction to the discipline. You did not take shape as a horse inside your mother's womb. You did not take shape of a cockroach, although you are called a cockroach today for a very different reason. But yes or no? But the shape you took gave the direction of life for you. Similarly, the shape this discipline took gave a direction to the discipline. What direction? What is it supposed to do? Does it have any goal? What is the goal of this discipline? Agar discipline hai, all universities were setting up sociology department. If there is a department of sociology and there are people who are dedicating their lives for this discipline of sociology, what is it supposed to do? What is the goal of this discipline? If goal was one of the aspects of the discipline, what is the way in which the discipline should do to achieve those goals? Or second thing we call methodology. Is there something unique about this discipline in the way things are done? Alchemy was a discipline which was studying the combination of different elements, but chemistry was very different than alchemy. And the difference between alchemy and chemistry is in the method that chemistry uses and the method that alchemy uses. Alchemy was just random mixing of things. Chemistry, there was certain systematic way of doing things. Therefore, there were methods. Are you able to follow? So chemistry became a science because there is a certain method attached to it. Chemistry is science not because of what it studies. Chemistry is science because the way it studies whatever it studies. Therefore, sociology also takes birth, takes a shape at birth, defining for itself goals, but at the same time, the ways in which these goals are achieved. And there are certain people who contributed to the very birth of this discipline. And those classical thinkers form the bedrock of sociology, but not certainly, that is not sociology in all. Okay, so I have told you only one part of the story of sociology. Okay, if you will, this is the story of sociology. and 3 people who contributed, or at least we believe today, although many other people also contributed to the birth of sociology, at least 3 people who continue to influence the discipline and shape the discipline are Emil Durkheim, Karl Marx. Okay, so I'm just, so here we say, so these people are there in your syllabus: Durkheim, Marx, and Weber. Not because these were the only people who were there at the birth, but whatever they did to the discipline continues to influence the way discipline is taking shape today also, is evolving today also. What is it doing? We'll see. So to give you a feel of what these contributions were, I'm going to talk, okay, so one thing about the topics. It's not about a topic is there, 200 words, ho gaya. This is the topic that is there, okay. First of all, so there are 4 topics under Marx. Marx has written many books throughout his journey, okay. And the names of the books I will tell you because I want to show off to you, okay, but that is of no use to you, okay. From German ideology to Grundrisse to Capital, 3 volumes of Capital. Of course, the last volume was written by his friend after his death. But so many books, okay, the names of these books are not important for us. Through this journey, okay, and this is half a century Marx is writing, right from the age of 17, 18, Marx is contemplating. And therefore, there is a journey of the thinker. It is often said that you become, okay, a wise man once said that you become the person you already are. As you age, the process of aging is nothing but, okay, becoming the person you already are. You understand? Okay. So you're already someone. Okay. Only thing that is happening as you age is that is only getting refined, and you are that person. So therefore, a thinker is also, okay, these books are not unconnected. This is what I want to tell you. Therefore, these topics are not unconnected. Marx, okay, so what these people contributed, this is another thing. Let me come to now the story of 19th century. At birth, sociology was doing what kind of activities? It was trying to define what is the goal of the discipline and what are the methods it should apply. Okay? Following or not? Everybody is able to follow what I am talking? Language, everyone? Yes or no? So when these people were contemplating about, I don't know what they wanted to study, the times they lived in was rapidly chaotic. It was rapidly transforming and therefore chaotic. People who have come from, say, villages or tier 2 towns, tier 3 towns in Bangalore, the first 1 month, imagine how chaotic it was or how chaotic it continues to be. The city was rapidly transforming. And these people were trying to make sense of these changes, because it changes. When with change, what happens? There is a sense of uncertainty that comes. Exam pattern is changing. Suddenly, you are scared. Yes or no? Prelims pattern is changing, and with every change, somehow it is affecting me. I have become restless. With society is changing also, people living in that society did not know how to change themselves, accommodate themselves to this change. And these people therefore were reflecting upon those changes that was happening in Europe. Europe was transforming from feudal society to capitalist societies, and as the societies were rising to be capitalist societies, rapid transformation was happening in their everyday life. In the kind of jobs they did. AI, okay, now you have AI. AI is rapidly transforming, and every policy is accounting to one fact. How is it affecting to work, jobs? That is why AI and work is one of the most important dimensions of any policy on AI, because it is rapidly transforming the way we work. It's only one aspect. But these capitalist societies, large industries were coming out. Urbanization was happening at a rapid rate. Therefore, it had an influence on the institutions, family, relationships, social relationships, what was taught in the university, how religion influenced one's life, what kind of food people ate. McDonald's is not something that was, okay, we talk about what is called as McDonaldization. Okay, McDonaldization is a characteristic feature of urban society. Okay, or vada pav, same thing. Vada pav, why only in Bombay? Because Bombay became that capitalist society, urban society, therefore people don't have time, everything is measured in time, time is money, they say. I don't know whether it is money or not. Okay, time is money, they say. And they earn money to buy time. Okay, and therefore if you don't have time, you want something, array, lunch, what do you want to have lunch? I don't have enough time for lunch, I'll just pick up something, eat and go, on the go. So fast food culture. Yes or no? Therefore, if societies were changing, they wanted to grapple with the kind of changes that was happening in people's everyday life. Don't think that this is something an armchair theorist is thinking about, array society mein kya ho raha hai, technology ka impact, writing articles. No, it is affecting everyday life of people. In what ways? And the changes were so rapid, like the changes today. The technology in 2015, technology 2025, completely different. We started using AI in 2022, and 2026 I see completely different. And therefore, the rate at which the changes are happening is also very, very fast. If UPSC is changing, abhi to ek paper aa gaya, 2026 paper, you have seen a characteristic change in the prelims paper. Okay, but on the day of prelims, you must have spoken about the paper to your peers, your seniors, okay, or in social media, that array, what is this paper? Okay, my likes and dislikes about the paper, array paper kharab hai, ye hai, wo hai, random questions, whatever it is. But next year again, pattern if it changes, again you will be facing difficulty. Again if it changes, again, your problem is not, people are saying their problem with the paper is not that they are asking random question, but tell me what is going to be asked. Meaning you want certainty in life. Are you understand? I'm going to study this, no problem, ask whatever you want, but tell me what I should study. That's what your concern is. Randomly I keep changing every year, what will happen? Your problem is not with the syllabus, but with the uncertainty, yes or no? But imagine if the society is changing, whatever is the reason, day in and day out at a rapid rate, and it is affecting your life every day. The jobs that you are going to do, you did your graduation thinking that this graduation will have an impact on your job situation tomorrow or is going to help you in your livelihood. But by the time you finished your graduation, wo khatam ho gaya. What will you do? Are you understand or not? Okay. So these people were grappling with those changes that was happening in the capitalist societies. All these classical sociologists were really doing this. When they were doing this, of course, it's not commonsensical. Okay, it's not also something. Okay, they are also developing a discipline, a specialized study. How do you study a society now? They gave a method to study society, and these topics are really that method to study society, nothing else. This is what I want to tell you. This is your take home. Okay. Marx, when I think about all the topics, okay, Marx talked about only the following. Okay, and this is going to be the most challenging part of what we are going to discuss today. This is the last thing. Okay, I'm not here to give you a lecture on sociology, of course, but okay, if these ideas, if these questions do not interest you, okay, then you know, okay, whether or not to take the subject. That's the point. If I think about Marx really, okay, throughout his lifetime, 50 to 60 years that he wrote, right from the book called German Ideology to many papers that he wrote a manifesto for a communist party, okay, later in his life. But again, his classics called Capital, where he is actually grappling with capitalist societies. Okay, so he's finally writing about capitalist societies. But in order to do this, he also wants to understand what is a society, how this change is happening. Because, please understand, society is changing rapidly. If I understand the nature of change, what is the law through which this change is happening? There is a certain order in this change. This change is not random. Somebody told you UPSC paper. Okay. Change is happening, don't worry. Every year it might change, but there is a certain law. I told you polity will come 2 years, then 4 years, then it won't come, then 3 years. If I deciphered a law and told you 2026 this was asked, 27 this will be asked, 28 this will be asked, and so on and so forth, making it predictable for you, you're happier or not? Are you able to follow what I'm saying? So these guys are developing a law. First of all, he wants to understand the working of capitalist societies, because there is a lot of challenges people are facing in these societies. Rapid transformation. What is it? Okay, few things you can take. Rapid rise of urbanization, or the nature of families, the size of families is changing. Okay, the kind of food you're eating is changing. Therefore, the kind of diseases, the kind of educational institutions, the kind of jobs are changing. So therefore, the kind of education is changing. Are you able to follow? The nature of families are changing. Family relationships are changing. The members in the number of, size of the structure of the family, the function of the family, everything is changing. Are you able to follow? Therefore, he wants to understand the working of capitalism. So his final topic is working of capitalist society and what is the experience of humans in capitalist society. Bus, nothing else. But in order to understand this, please understand, this is a law he is trying to give you. But this law, please understand, if it is a law, he is developing this law to make it predictable for people. Okay. I am developing a technique or a law about the papers to make it predictable for you, so that you know what to study, what not to study next year, and so on and so forth. Yes or no? That's why we all go back to PYQs when we start our preparation. Similarly, he is trying to develop a law. Okay, so but there is a journey. He wants to understand this. This is his lifelong journey. Okay, this is his lifelong journey. But he starts from, because he is somewhat uncomfortable with the changes. Many changes are happening. He is seeing how it is affecting people's lives, and therefore he wants to, as opposed to the common notion, Marx, he's not trying to make a political statement. He's a sociologist. He's not a political scientist. He's not a philosopher. He is a sociologist. He is developing a science to tell you how these societies are changing. And one of the first laws, societies are changing. You understand what I'm saying? His first law, which is actually to tell you how societies have changed. This is really a law to tell you. So this is a law or a theory to tell you how societies change, or how human theory of social societies. So if societies are changing in accordance with a certain law that I have deciphered, whatever that law is, we'll study about it later. Always societies must have changed according to this law only. So therefore, he is trying to reconstruct history of mankind. Therefore, historical materialism is nothing but, what is historical materialism? Uske andar kya likha? He wrote it in this book. All the conceptual categories within that. is not my concern, really speaking. Are you able to follow what I'm saying? My concern is, what is it primarily doing? It is giving me a theory of change. It is giving me a theory of mankind, history of mankind. It is giving me a theory to understand how societies develop, how human societies have evolved. Right from ancient societies to feudal societies to capitalist societies and forward. Are you able to follow what I'm saying? Yes or no? Everybody? And therefore, this is not a technical topic. You should not mug up. Historical materialism in IGNOU material will be historical materialism, ऐसा आया वैसा आया, इसमें law of dialectics था, ये था वो था. What to do with it? Are you able to understand or not? First he developed this. He developed the law. He said, okay, you must have heard, अरे मेरे समय में, okay, nam time malala ingirlila. Yes or no? Everybody has heard this story. Nam time malingirlila, mobile irlila, dirlila, idirlila. Meaning, what? When they were telling you that statement, okay, a question should have come to your mind. How are you actually comparing? Arey, nam time malingella ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಲಿಲ್ಲ teachers ಜೊತೆ. Yes or no? Okay, many teachers might tell you. Or nam time ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಫ್ರೀ ಆಗಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲ. Okay, all information was not there nam time. Okay, whatever it is. Everybody's grandfather had to cross a river to go to school, and everybody's father had to go in bus. Yes or no? Only you are the ones, lucky few, who have everything on plate. ऐसा थोड़ी है. When they are saying it, how are they comparing new society and old society? That's my point. Following or not? Mobile irlilla. Okay, so is mobile the changing factor between old society and new society, 90s society and 2026 society? What is the change? What is the defining feature that allows somebody to tell you, nam time lingirlilla? Is it mobile phone? Okay. Mobile phone may be one aspect. Mobile phone is only used to communicate. So is means of communication is the changing factor. Or what is that changing factor? Okay. Marx is trying to find what defines old society or what differentiates old society and new society. And if you understand what differentiates old society and new society, you can make sense of the change that will happen. Because that factor, if it is changing, you know the changes will happen, and therefore it becomes predictable. You understand what I'm saying or not? And that is what is your next topic. I'm not, actually, this is not what I'm going to teach you. Little more details will be there when we teach, of course. Okay, so the basis on which societies have, first he gave a theory of change, then he gave a basis for that change. This is the basis on which societies change, whatever this means. Mode of production. Okay, mode of production means, okay, it is not the new technology that is changing societies, but how people are organizing their work in order to produce, that is changing societies. Are you able to understand? Marx says, it is not what you produce, but how you produce that differentiates one society to another society. Ancient society to feudal society to capitalist society is decided on the basis of, the difference is the following. Tribal societies. Okay, what was different in tribal society? What was different in, you might say, politics was different. The institutions were different. Marx says all of that is only incidental. The basic thing is how you produce, not what you produce also. Okay, technology was there or not, doesn't matter. Okay, in fact, ancient societies, he says, technology was far more superior to feudal societies. Are you able to follow? Ancient Rome. Okay, he takes the example. The following, okay, so therefore, the only thing is, he says the way, so it's not what you produce, but how you organize people's work to produce, that defines the characteristic of a society. That is why next topic is mode of production, nothing else. Okay, we don't understand, no problem. The only thing I want you to take home is, first thing, there is a theory of change, how human societies have evolved. I have a theory for it. Marx's theory is only that. And he says when societies change, there is certain basis on which they change, and he calls it how you produce, not what you produce. That is why mode of production. Once he understands this, there is a unique way in which people organize their work. Capitalist society, what is the difference between capitalist society and any other society? Capitalist society is the only society in which you produce not to fulfill your needs, but to sell in the market. Feudal society, I was producing something, okay, I was growing rice. Why I was growing rice? To fulfill my needs, to fulfill the needs of others. This was the goal of production of rice. In capitalist society, Marx is telling you grow rice not to fulfill the needs of everybody, to sell in the market. And in the process of that selling, everybody's needs also will be fulfilled. Whether or not people's needs is fulfilled is not a factor in capitalist society. That is why first thing is what? The nature of change, theory for change. What is the basis of that change? How you produce. Capitalist society is a unique situation in which you produce not for anything, but for selling it. Why am I producing this lecture? To sell it. To pass hoga, nahi hoga, baad mein bhai. Following this or not? Are you able to follow what I am saying or not? Of course, that may be fulfilled, but market is the only place where your needs are fulfilled. If you want to give you an example, if you want to fulfill your needs, where do you go? You go to the market or not? Do you go to rice fields to collect rice? You go to market to collect rice. Your needs are fulfilled in the market or not? That is why he is going to that unique type of society called capitalist society. And in these capitalist societies, what is the experience of people he is talking about? Okay, one is alienated, whatever that means. The only point I am trying to make is the nature of ideas, questions that are there in this optional. Okay, you have to think about evolution of human societies. If societies have evolved from one point to another, I first of all want to understand what is the difference between old society and new society. And then when I understand the way to, I gave you a lens to look at the society. Once I give you a lens to look at the societies, you can make sense of the social realities that are present. And that is what he is trying to, or that is what is included in your syllabus, that is what Marx is trying to do. The working of capitalist societies and one's experience in it. Individual's experience is alienation, group's experience is always conflict. That's why he says class struggle. Whatever this means, we don't know. But what I'm trying to tell you is this topic, okay? So these are the topics that are there in Marx. Please understand, they are not unrelated. They are all telling you one story and only one story. There is a link. Are you able to follow what I am saying or not? Okay. And to give you an idea, please understand, this is not only with sociology. Okay. So you can take this example of 2024 essay paper. Okay. This is 2024 UPSC essay paper. If you ask, why should I think about all this? If this is the essay you are going to choose, you can definitely write. These are the ideas that are tested everywhere. Thought finds a world and creates one also. It's a direct question on historical materialism. Okay. I'm not saying everybody should write this. Okay. Depending on your orientation, you can write anything else. But if you knew historical materialism, this is what, okay, you would have picked for sure. Meaning, these ideas are tested in your general studies paper also in some form or the other. Not all of them, of course, but these are evergreen ideas. It is a choice you have to make whether or not you want to think in these areas or not. Of course, there are four choices. You can pick anything, but okay, a sociology student would have definitely picked this because it is nothing but historical materialism. Don't think, okay, historical materialism, adhar hi band ho jayega. Okay, it gives you a lens. What will the syllabus do? It gives you a lens to make sense. So I'm coming back. Okay, so this is what I wanted to say. Your discipline is really, okay, giving you certain frameworks or lens. Using that lens, you will make sense of the realities you are part of. And with that understanding, it is helping you move towards just societies, because that is what your preamble decides for you. What is the goal of every individual in this country, which you have set for yourself? Whether or not you realize it is economic, political, social justice. That's what your preamble says. Are you understand? And who has given the preamble? We the people. So, to give just society, to make a just society, first of all, I want to understand society. And to understand society, sociology is an attempt, because everybody has their own understanding of society, that is common sense. And therefore, whether it is commonsensical understanding sociology, second myth, okay, second myth I want to bust is the following, okay. Sociology is everywhere. What is this? This part. Sociology is all around you, therefore it is very easy. Kuch nahi hai. Sociology is a specialized discipline. I'll be very honest with you. But yes, the canvas on which it is giving you a lens to study the realities that occur around you. The National Curriculum Framework that was given by NCERT defines education. Education is a topic in your second paper. Naturally, you should know what is education. Sociology is the bridge between socialization and education. Socialization is your familiarity with the society. Education is giving you tool to understand why that reality occurs. Socialization helps you to live in a society the way it is. Education gives you a tool to change, to protect the good things about that society, and to change not the things that are not desirable in that society. The difference is there between sociology, socialization and education. Socialization is not necessarily bad. Socialization is also helping you understand few things about society, but that is to live in society, not to change it. That's why you don't question when you talk about socializing. Are you understand? Education gives you the gateway to question, and sociology is a tool to help you educate yourself, to understand the social milieus in which the realities occur. If you understand the social milieus in which the realities occur, using that understanding, you will move towards a society that is just, that is good for you, good for others. And I feel, okay, so therefore, sociology is beyond common sense. Commonsensical understanding, is it rejecting? No. Common sense is the starting point. Therefore, the last myth is not completely myth. Sociology is all around you. The canvas is all around you. The realities are all around you. But the lens to basically make sense of it is you have to equip yourself with. If you equip yourself with the lens to study the realities that occur, why you are wearing certain kind of clothes, why you are marrying certain kind of groups, why you are, okay, this classroom, the mode in which this is delivered is happening the way it is, or why the political institutions are the way they are, or the economic, the kind of jobs that they are. And therefore, to make sense of that, and therefore sense of the changing realities, and give a direction to that change towards a just society, Sociology will help you do that. So therefore, I don't say, okay, and therefore one debate, please understand, if this is the common myth that is there, sociology is all around you. Sociology is not all around you. Realities are all around you. You have to equip yourself with lens to make sense of that reality. That's the very definition of national curriculum framework, which is inspired by Rabindranath Tagore. Are you understand or not? Okay. Why should you understand the social milieu in which realities occur? So that you do things, with that understanding you do things that are useful to you, that are useful to others. That's all. That's why one debate in sociology will be naturally what? Please understand, this is nothing, okay, this is not out of nowhere. One topic in your sociology syllabus is sociology and common sense. What you study in sociology and common sense is not just random 5 points. What is the difference between the two? Oh yeah, right? A logical, normal person. Okay. When I say it is syllabus, suddenly you are in the tension and you are putting yourself, okay, the boundary. So this is all I have to study. No. Simple thing. How is sociology different from common sense? Is common sense contributing to sociology? Is sociology rejecting common sense? Or is sociology using common sense? It is said sociology starts where common sense ends. But where research should be done, what research should be done, it is decided by common sense. Without common sense, there is no sociology. Without common sense, there is no sociology. And this is what common sense gives to sociology, area of research. What is the problem I should study? Common sense gives me that. In my commonsensical understanding, there are certain, in present day, you can say, there are laws that are discriminatory to certain genders. This is my commonsensical understanding because that is based on your experience. This is discriminatory in nature. Sociology picks up a problem. What gives it a problem? Common sense. So what is the gift of common sense to sociology? The very subject matter for sociology is given by common sense. But sociology moves beyond common sense. What is the debate next? Okay, sociology has done its work. Okay. Is it useful to common sense? That is also a question I have to ask. So what is sociology's contribution to common sense? The last question. Once sociology deciphers some social reality, it will help you improve your common sense. Sociology therefore enters common sense. So sociology of yesteryears, sociology of the past becomes common sense of the present. And this you can easily apply in your caste census. Census is happening now. Yes or no? First phase of census is already on the way. After 15-16 years of gap, census is on the roll. First year of census or first phase of census is being implemented now, which is called the housing listing operations, HLOs. Okay, they will just tell, okay, how many people are there in the household, okay, what is the nature of land, and so on and so forth. Second phase is where they'll start enumerating every person. Okay, and many firsts are there in this census, yes or no? Census 2027. First of all, why do you want to do, okay, census 2027 is called caste census, everybody? Everybody has heard of this? Socio-economic caste census. Yes or no? Why is this socio-economic? Why are they enumerating castes? Can anybody tell me? Why are they enumerating castes? Why are they taking caste data? This is after 95 years. 1931 is the last time caste census was done.